Good morning. Meal preparation does not have to be a monotonous process, but can be made relatively simple if you have the right tools and you perform your food prep ahead of time. Each Sunday, I cook an abundance of chicken, brown rice, and sweet potato, and ensure that I'm stocked up on my sources of fat and green vegetables for my meals throughout the week. The only meal that I do not prepare in advance is breakfast. And lately I've been doing these egg white and oat muffins, which I'll make a week's worth during my Sunday food prep. Tools you'll need are a bunch of Tupperware containers and a food scale. So after my breakfast, my next meal is my post-workout shake. And this features a whey protein supplement, which I'll measure out to 45 grams, roughly 40 grams of protein. And a high glycemic carbohydrate powder. Lately I've been using Carb Slam. Pretty anal about making sure that I'm hitting my right macronutrients for each meal, just because if I'm not responding to my training program or I'm having an off strength day in one of my workouts, I like to pinpoint my diet as being the culprit. And if I don't know how many calories I'm taking in, then I really don't know what to alter going into my next workout to ensure that I'm having optimal performance. Two other things I throw in my post-workout shake is a creatine supplement and an HMB capsule, which helps preserve lean tissue during periods of caloric restriction. So once my post-workout shake is done, I go ahead and move to my next two meals, which are exactly the same. And this features chicken, sweet potato, spinach, and hummus. I kind of got a little lazy with my food prep last weekend and I didn't dice my chicken, so I'm just going to go ahead and tear it now. But I'll measure out 5 ounces. And then I'll add my sweet potato, which I measure out to 6 ounces. And being from the Eastern Shore, I really like the taste of white sweet potatoes, which is very similar to a Hayman. But since I'm in contest season right now, I'll probably switch back to a yam, which has been my staple over the last few contest seasons as a source of carbohydrate. And white sweet potatoes are out of season right now, so they're getting harder and harder to get, and yams I can pretty much get around. So once I add the chicken and sweet potato, I then add my source of green vegetables, and I just do spinach for this meal. It pairs with pretty much everything. With green vegetables, it's not necessary that you measure out an exact amount. 3 cups of spinach has about 20 calories, 6 ounces of broccoli has about 25 calories, so it's really just a wash in terms of it offsetting your daily macronutrient goals. So you don't need to be OCD about measuring out your green vegetables. I'm adding hummus right now, and in my off season I'll go with the higher fat hummus, but right now I rather have a little bit more bulk in my meals, so I go with a lower calorie hummus and lower fat just so I can use more of it. Gives my meals a little bit more, a little bit better taste. So meals 3 and 4 are now done, and now next up are meals 5 and 6. These are also the same as my first 2 meals, and when pork is on sale, I'll use that instead of chicken for my protein source, but it's very rarely on sale, so I'm stuck doing chicken this week. So I measure at 5 ounces in both my containers. And then I add my brown rice, which is a source of carbohydrate for this meal. I'd highly encourage you, if you eat a lot of rice, to invest in a rice cooker. It just makes life so much easier. I can never seem to cook brown rice right on the stovetop. I always cook it for too long, or at not a high enough heat, and it ends up turning out pretty poorly. Having a rice cooker, you can kind of just, put the rice and water in when you leave for work in the morning, and then it's all ready for you once you get off work. The source of fat for this meal, I use guacamole, and I also add a little bit of hot sauce to give the meal a little bit extra kick, and it also provides the meal a little bit more sodium. I have to add sodium to most of my meals, just because a few years ago, when I was dieting down for a contest, I kind of kept my sodium kind of low, just because I don't eat a whole lot of processed foods. So there isn't a whole lot of added salt in my foods. And one particularly hot day, I had a hyponatremia, which is a very low, which is when your body does not have enough salt to function properly. So I had to end up going to a hospital to get hooked up to a few banana bags to get my sodium levels back within range. So now I add salt to all my meals. And the green vegetable that I use for this meal is broccoli slaw. I kind of got burned out on regular broccoli, so I've been doing this lately. Sometimes just having a subtle change up like that makes a pretty big difference. Alright, so meals 5 and 6 are prepared. Now the only meal that I have left is my bedtime snack. And for this, I also use a whey protein. Some athletes prefer to use a casein protein source, just because it's a little slower digesting. But my stomach doesn't tolerate it that well. It doesn't digest it quite as easily as a whey protein isolate. So I just prefer using a whey. Probably later in my contest season, I'll switch to using egg whites. But right now, whey and peanut butter make up this meal. And once I measure out my peanut butter, what I do next is add a little bit of water. Just a little bit. And then I stir it up. And now I get a texture similar to that of like ice cream. What I'll do is just throw it in the freezer for a few hours, and then it's ready for me, by the time I'm ready to go to bed. So that's meal prep. I just prepped 7 meals in a little less than 10 minutes. So if you set aside the time each weekend to prep all your food for the upcoming week, then it shouldn't take a whole lot of time each night to prep your meals for the following day.